Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning for our coffee chat. We are going to be doing a review of the different programs that are available to businesses in Clallam County, and also we will give a review on the procurement programs and workshops that are being offered. We offered the first one yesterday. It was really good from 12 to 3. And I believe we're gonna have Leslie Miller on with us this morning, and she'll review the programs that are being offered. But I wanted to take some time to allow everyone who's an expert on this call, and I know we've got Micah on and Mike Reichoff, and I see Nathan's joined us. And anyway, there are just so many different programs available today for businesses that are either out or that are going to be rolling out. So I was going to do kind of a high-level review, and anyone that has more information that they want to share about it, I think that would be great. So please, feel free to jump in while we're discussing this. So I'll hold off on the procurement workshop classes, and hopefully Leslie will be able to join us and talk about those. But I do want to review, and Peggy, if you would you put the Washington PTAC link in the chat for the bonding and construction class so that everybody has that link. So I guess, first of all, I'll start off with Working Washington 4, and that's a state program that is funded through federal dollars, but in total, it's $240 million. And so just about every business in Clallam County would qualify. They're trying to target certain businesses that have been the most affected. It's up to $25,000, but if you've received a Working Washington 1, 2, or 3 in the past, they will subtract the amount of money that you receive from that from the grant application. The last time they had grant rounds, Mike, help me with this. I believe they had 37,000 applicants for Working Washington 3 across the state. And however, they did not allow, or they ended up giving, I think it was 4,200 grants. Is that right, Mike? Do you recall? Or Micah?
I don't recall the amount, no.
Okay. I believe it was 4,200. So, and nonprofits were not allowed to apply for that grant program. And they're not allowed to apply for this grant program either, and there's a long list of eligible and ineligible entities. And they also are, they're not allowing childcare businesses to apply because there's going to be a $50 million childcare grant program rolled out, and there's going to be extensive money for childcare coming out through the American Rescue Plan, and also the and then also the $50 million that was previously appropriated from the $900 billion appropriation last December. So between the $900 billion and the $1.9 trillion that came out, there's a lot of money in those two federal funding packages that are coming through the state to DCYF, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, that will be available to childcare businesses. And the exact details of those haven't been determined yet, because the Senate budget and the House proposed budgets, operating budgets, are slightly different. and they are working out the differences. But by and large, the appropriations for the operating budgets for the childcare elements in both budgets are very much the same. And so the EDC's Child Care Alliance community organizer, which is Dr. Keenan, she's now reviewing there's about 25 pages of description of what that funding will look like. And so she is reviewing that, and we're specifically looking for, will there be funding available for childcare businesses, well, the organizations that take care of children that aren't formally licensed childcare businesses, such as the Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, and Shore Aquatic Center. So that's still research being done, and we're hoping that there's not a gap that exists for them. So I see that we have Leslie on with us. Good morning, Leslie. She's the Olympic Peninsula's Procurement Technical Assistance Coordinator. And if you'd like to share the screen and just show the Olympic PTAC schedule of courses, or I can certainly do that. We put the link in the chat, and you can kind of go through and talk about that if you'd like.
Thank you, Colleen. Why don't you go ahead and just pull that up?
Okay.
And then we can talk about it a little bit.
Okay. All right.
So Washington PTAC and Clallam County and the SBTRC, which is a Small Business Transportation Resource Center, has joined forces to put together a series of workshops. And these, we have two different tracks on these workshops. Yesterday was our inaugural presentation. So on the construction track, we have, yesterday was all about business operations, bonding, insurance, and financials. And we had a special guest speaker, one of the other PTACs who's a retired naval contracting officer. He spent some time talking about the Longshoremen Act and the impact of small businesses. So it was really quite an eye-opening, little mini section. We had Kara Skinner and Pete Miller talking all about the bonding, insurance, and then the financials, how to understand the financials. And we had really pretty good attendance on this. So the next one in that series, well, they're every Tuesday until April 20th. And the next one is on bidding and estimating. And we have Veneer Construction coming to bat and give us the inside scoop on bidding and estimating. And one of their speakers, one of the main speakers, is actually a professor at University of Washington, and he teaches classes on the bidding and estimating. So that ought to be pretty interesting. We also have the on the week after that, on April 13th, that is a whole section on how to do business with the government. And I'm actually doing that presentation. And, it's kind of the ins and outs on government contracting, who's buying what you're selling and who your competition is and how to do your market research. So it's really, kind of a 30,000-foot flyover on doing business, in the construction industry. And finally, the capstone for the construction track is the networking and graduation event. And we have some really good representation, coming through on the construction side. Again, you know, we'll have representatives from Clallam County and Jefferson County.
So you mean, real quick, you mean from the governments, from their
Yeah.
procurement departments?
Yeah, so
Yep.
the city of Port Angeles and the PUD are sending some of their representatives, and they'll give a quick overview of what's up and coming, and how best that small businesses can find these opportunities and get registered or certified to do business with them.
And I believe also the Port Angeles School District with the Stevens Middle School project. And then also the city of Sequim said that they'd send somebody as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty good, you know, review of big projects that are going to be happening here in Clallam County.
Well, and Colleen's right, you know, the fish passage projects are just, you know, now in the works for finding the small businesses. And Kiewit Construction is the prime on that. And they will also be in attendance on the final class, because they have a critical need for disadvantaged business enterprises, minority business enterprises, veteran enterprises. So, you know, these big companies really need the smaller companies in order to successfully complete their projects. Anytime there's federal money involved in a construction project, the prime contractors have what's called a small business plan. And the small business plan has set-asides mandated, and they have to hit these goals by the completion of their project. So it's really important that they meet and can utilize the small businesses in the area. You know, and that's our goal. You know, Colleen and I have worked very hard at you know, trying to find the right resources and providing educational tracks and doing one-on-one counseling for these small businesses. So anyway, we're really excited about that opportunity. The other track is actually the government contracting track, and that starts tomorrow. And the first class is Introduction to Government Contracting, and we broke it down into two sections. The first section is a little mini section, and it's the reality check. You know, what does it really take to do government contracting? And then the second section is more a 30,000-foot flyover again on government contracting. You know, where you register, you know, how you identify either your commodity codes or your NAICS codes for the industry that you're in. You know, the importance of being registered in the federal database and the state database. And that's something that a lot of people overlook, is the state database. And I just got an updated report from them on the actual numbers. And I have a comparison to when they first started doing this in 2003. And it's been a little volatile the last year. And so, you know, they're actually seeking more small businesses, you know, to get registered and certified, because all of the agencies that buy through the state, like your community colleges, school districts, water districts, fire districts, you know, they buy from the state, but the state needs to have suppliers, not just in the construction field, but in all industries, you know, healthcare, you know, hospitality, you know, whatever it is. And so they're really looking for the small businesses to get registered. So anyway, the first class.
So Kiewit that was awarded one of the fish passage contracts sometime last year, I believe. I think they're handling 10 different fish culverts that are in Jefferson and Clallam counties, and that's $160 million.
Yeah.
And do you know how much of that has to go to small businesses?
Generally, it's like 23%
Okay.
has to go to small businesses.
Mhm.
But each small business plan within each federal aspect is negotiable with the contracting officer. So, they may have a higher percentage. They will not have a lower percentage than that though.
Okay.
So it could be more than that. And then next or at the capstone for the construction track, that'll be one of the questions that Kiewit will be asked is, what are your percentages on your small business goals?
Mhm. And
for
that-
the peninsula.
that contract is just one of many. There are over 100 culverts that need to be replaced on Highway 101 over the next, I think they talked about until 2030, the WSDOT, Washington State Department of Transportation did. So on Highway 101 in Clallam County, or Highway 112, I think was the other, so this is not do a whole lot of work in the near term and get maybe 1 or 2 jobs. This is contracting opportunities that will last a decade or more, hopefully. Yeah. So, and all of these entities pay, the prevailing wage amounts are really high. It is complicated, but I think it's very worthwhile for contractors particularly, but also businesses in other sectors to take a look at this and see if it's something where they should think about diversifying and enter into a pretty stable market that can be, hopefully our businesses will expand outside of our county boundaries. But right now, all these businesses that are getting all these contracts are coming from Seattle, Tacoma, and Kitsap County, just because we haven't done this kind of work and effort in the past. We have, maybe half a dozen companies in our county that actively, pursue procurement opportunities, public works contracts in our county. And so, we have very few union companies, and sometimes the prime companies have signatories, it's called, with unions, so all they can do is hire union companies. And in that case, a lot of our businesses can't participate. So can you, that's happened recently with the Shore Aquatic Center when that was built. Neely Construction that has the Peninsula Housing Authority and I think Boys and Girls Club, they both hired Neely, and Neely is a union signatory, and so they could only hire union companies. And again, we have electricians and plumbers in that space, but beyond that, we have very few union companies. Is that anything in your realm of expertise, or is that more a legislative issue and Department of L&I issue?
That's L&I specifically, and then on the federal, it's the Department of Labor issues. But one of the partners that Colleen and I tried to bring on board is North Peninsula Builders Association. And so, having them on board, the goal was to try to guide these smaller businesses, to make the fit with the prime. So, however that works out. And I know that they're in transition right now. So I'm hoping that leadership will help participate and be a resource for the small construction companies on the peninsula.
Mhm.
So moving on the PTAC side, the government side, so the second class is all going to be about registrations and certifications. And, it's kind of like at the state level, registrations are rather simplified. On the federal level, they're not so much. And so you need a little hand holding to get through the processes. And that's what PTAC does best, is it provides resources for the small businesses on getting federally registered and then federally certified. And the certification can be woman-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned, or hub zone entities. And the hub zone is a big topic on the Olympic Peninsula because the majority of the whole place is a federally recognized hub zone. And hub zones are, notorious for that certification is one of the mandated set-asides, and the federal government and the primes have a heck of a time getting hub zone certified companies. And again, it doesn't matter if it's construction or hospitality, healthcare, manufacturing, it's across the board. In Clallam and Jefferson counties, every single company there could be hub zone certified. So anyway, one of my classes will be specific to the registrations and certifications. And then in the third week, it's all about marketing to the government. And again, this is state and federal. And at the state level, they have different requirements for your marketing materials than the feds do. So on the federal side, it's not like you can just put together this really nice glossy brochure or resume. They have mandated requirements. You have to have your DUNS number, your cage code, your PSCs, your FSCs, your certifications, your key employees, your past performance. There's a whole lot of stuff that we talk about at that event. And then our capstone class on the 22nd is a networking opportunity. And again, this is, the PUD, the city of Port Angeles, and every other agency that we can get to participate and explain to our, the small businesses, what's up and coming in your area. And what is, what are their requirements? And as far as small business goals, they may or may not have small business goals. What they're looking for is, quality and deliverability from the small businesses, and local is best. So anyway, so that's a quick overview of these classes that we're doing. And in the meantime, PTAC, we have an office in Kitsap, and they have 3 individuals in that office. I'm actually not physically located, but I'm out of the Thurston County office out of Olympia for, it's the main office for Washington PTAC. But the goal was to try to assist small businesses on the Olympic Peninsula and get them registered, certified, and finding the opportunities. And so we're here if anybody needs some help. And if there's any questions I can answer for you, I'm happy to do that.
Great. Thank you so much, Leslie. So Leslie is available for individual consult. It's kind of like these classes are the overview of things that need to be done. And then when you go as an individual business owner to actually implement them, you've got a individual counselor there to help you through that process. So I'm really, we've got a personal goal of getting 5 or so businesses in the next months to be actively having getting a bond, getting all their certifications so that they can participate, and then we'll just grow from there. So anyway, that is our commitment, and thank you, Leslie, for including your email in there. Nathan, is there anything you'd like to share from the city of Sequim's perspective in getting small businesses to engage in the procurement from the city of Port Angeles?
Colleen, I'd be happy to share a few things. To me, this is really about our community's future and the future capability of Clallam County, but it's also probably the biggest missed opportunity relative to economic growth of Clallam County as a whole, and certainly the city of Port Angeles, in that we are not seeing our local contractors being successful going after many of those government bids. So we couldn't be more grateful to both Colleen and Leslie for making this happen, to see this opportunity push forward and to really engage some of our local contractors and companies and help them be successful in these future opportunities. I think there's a lot of dollars as you look globally at all the different government entities that are moving forward, doing their capital projects, implementing some of those important infrastructure needs in the community. We need to help those local contractors be successful and grow in a way that enables them long into the future to go after some of these opportunities. And I think these classes are going to be a huge help to getting us there, but really changing the future. We've always talked about a desire to grow our economy from within, and this is really that opportunity. This isn't pulling somebody in from the outside. This is growing from within, and to me, it couldn't be more important. I do apologize. I need to drop off for an 8:30, but I really appreciate Colleen and Leslie, all that you've done here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nathan. I have a real goal of trying to keep Leslie continuing actively working for us, and maybe that will be through PTAC, but maybe, as a consultant that the EDC hires her to do that as well. So she definitely knows the issues and knows the area. Mike Nimmo, I'm going to put you on the spot here if you don't mind. Mike is very engaged in the Marine Trade Center and developing that, and the port has a lot of work in that space. And one of the items that the Navy expert reviewed was the Longshoremen's Act. And Mike, can you kind of speak to that and what your experience has been with longshoremen's insurance in comparison to workers' comp or just normal liability insurance?
Yeah, I didn't hear some of the question, Colleen, because my Starlink decided to conveniently kind of blink off a little bit there. But what was the first part of the question? I am familiar with longshoremen. We do hire longshoremen. We are aware that it's my understanding that they're under the USLNH.
Yes, that's
insurance.
Right, the USLNH, the United States Longshoremen Insurance Program. But that's
Correct.
A different program and much more expensive, I think. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. And it also, if you're working over the water per se.
I think his Starlink may have blinked out again. It's not necessarily a great advertisement for Starlink right now.
It really adds a lot. Our port's an increased cost over LNI. There's just no doubt understanding. So,
okay, we lost you for a little bit there, Mike.
My internet is kind of blinking out.
Yeah. So
okay,
we will have these classes posted on our website. Hopefully by the end of today. We're trying to get that video from yesterday and get things set up. But it really was worthwhile. And I want to see Peninsula College, you know, when I do economic development and think about growth, it always starts with, well, where's the opportunity? Like, where can someone make money? And it has to start there. You know, if you love to make lasagnas, but there's no demand for lasagnas, you're not going to have a lot of financial success and business success if there's not the demand or if there's too much competition. But here we have huge opportunities locally, and yet our community is not engaging in those opportunities. And yes, it is a bit of a climb to understand all of the processes, but it's definitely can be done. And we've got experts that are available to help. So I'm putting a lot of effort in that space. And I think we can, over time, significantly improve our economy overall by ensuring that this money doesn't leak out of our county and instead stays here and is spent here. And then, you know, we've got the indirect and induced economic impacts as well. But yeah, so we've got a lot of, you know, 2 weeks worth, or I'm sorry, a month's worth of classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays for different entities. And we don't have that many people from Clallam County signed up for these classes. We've got, Leslie, what was the latest? Last I heard was 208 people had signed up for the classes, but it sounded like the vast majority were from counties outside of Clallam.
That's true. We're right at 300 now. But the majority are the I-5 corridor, and the minority is the Olympic Peninsula, which is, you know, kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, you know, have you know, we really focus this whole month to the Olympic Peninsula. So we're hoping that it will generate some conversation, and we had some last minute registrations yesterday morning from Clallam. So, you know, I think that there might be, you know, 10 or 12 small businesses from Clallam County. And I know that yeah, there were only 2 from Jefferson County.
I'm not as worried about that. Brian should be, yeah. But we'll keep on going, and we have that first class recorded, and then and so I'm going to keep on trying to get people to attend those courses. And so Patty Morris, I know you are a certified as a woman-owned business. Are you a HubZone business as well?
I've been working on the HubZone. It's a little more difficult, and it's like a rabbit hole you go down. But I am working on the HubZone, but it is a little more difficult. But yeah, I've done the national contracts and done quite a lot of that work. Have worked for Kiewit and some of the bigger contractors as a minority business. And I can tell you, if you're certified, one place that I started seeing a lot of activity was I got certified with King County, and currently am as a contractor for, they have a, you know, a disadvantage program. And so every time there's a bid that comes out on a big contract, King County sends it to you. So you're aware of those right away. And I found meeting the contractors, because they do a lot of meet and greets with their contractors when bidding's coming up. And so regardless of what the project is, you get an opportunity to meet those contractors that are going to be bidding. And I can tell you, if you meet them, they know who you are, you're going to have a better chance of getting the work out of them, other than them you just submitting your statement of qualifications, and they're gonna select people they've met. So it's really important to find a way to meet them, so that you kind of get a leg up. But I had to start over in the I-5 corridor doing work over there. And it's funny, I've never received a contract here for those guys. I receive work over there all the time. So it's interesting, you know, how they select who they're using in certain areas. But anyway, it's yeah.
Is most of your work home-based then? I mean, you can do it right from your home office?
Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So, Mike, you had something you wanted to share?
Yeah.
Oh, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
So sorry about my internet. Patricia just kind of alluded to it. I was kind of wondering how long a process it was. I was going to put this in chat, but one of the things that you get folks that get really intimidated by that process, but I was just kind of wondering how hard it was to navigate the hub zone stuff. That's actually what I'm alluding to here.
Yeah, I would say it's, and I'm really good at this stuff. But I'll tell you, you go ahead and you go in and do your thing, and it's, you know, put everything in, and then they want to give you a code. You never get the code. I mean, and then finally you've spent 2 hours attempting to do it, and then you kind of go, I'll address this another day. So yeah, it's the application's simple, but you just never get anything back from them saying, yeah, you're approved. So
Okay.
I will take that up today.
Yeah.
I've got
So
two.
this is Leslie. I would recommend anybody that wants to pursue the hub zone certification that you work with the Washington PTAC, because we can open doors for you. We can get answers for you. We can guide you. You know, it's all about the small businesses. And so if you have an issue or a problem with any of your certifications, you know, check with PTAC first.
And where's the contact info?
I put it in the chat.
Okay.
And so that's my contact information. And if anything percolates through me, and, you know, if I'm busy or whatever, I can forward that on to another one of our team members. And, you know, we do that well. You know, we take care of each other's clients, and, you know, we work real closely with the small businesses.
So
Thank you.
beyond just construction, Leslie or Mike or Patricia, can you guys describe other types of businesses that either sell or provide services to the governments that, you know, a local business could be off, you know, getting those contracts for?
Well,
I would say the sky's the limit on that. I mean, you could spend all day looking for bidding opportunities in your discipline.
What about restaurants? What about food service?
Yes, there's all kinds of things. What you have to do is spend the time and go in and sign up for those lists based on what you're interested in, and you will get those automatic notices of opportunities. But it does take some time to do it.
So if it was a restaurant or some kind of food service business and they don't want to offer their services to an entity outside of Clallam County just because of the travel associated, are there opportunities like that?
Not as much. Most of what I have to sign up for is statewide. You see very few opportunities locally. Generally, those opportunities come out from the local, you know, Port Angeles, Squam will send out those opportunities. I haven't seen a lot of local opportunities where you can just bid on, you know, a very small piece of work in a certain location.
Well, I'd like to, one caveat to that I know for a fact, because I started getting into this process last summer when we had the fires up on Lake Crescent. And we ended up contracting with this, I forget which state agency, I guess, anyway, Forestry Service or whatever. And it was a streamlined deal. If we hadn't been able to take care of the firefighters for those couple of weeks that we were feeding them, and it was pretty substantial. It was started out about people a day, and it ended up being 150 or 160. And if we hadn't been able to say yes to that, they would have brought somebody in from regional. I think they were talking about actually bringing a provider down from Alaska. But it was a very simple process. I had to fill out a one-page document, and actually I billed them every day for the services, and we were paid with a credit card. And the lady that I dealt with, I still have her saved information. She's out of Olympia. She said she would help me get on their list and go through the process to become a preferred vendor. And I could stipulate that I just wanted to work on state and federal projects that were in our county. I haven't chose to do that because we're in the middle of COVID, and I can't hire people now anyway. But it'd be something interesting for me to look at for next year. I mean, I've got a 30-foot completely mobile kitchen, and it's usually, and if it's fire season and that's what they wanted to hire me for, a lot of times I wouldn't even have the option because I'm probably the busiest caterer on the peninsula. So it's kind of catch-22 if a guy like me would even want to do it. That's all I had to say.
Mm-hmm. So Leslie, what other types of businesses are ripe opportunities for beyond contractors, construction, roads and that kind of thing? Where else do you see that people wouldn't normally think of, where local governments or state or federal are buying from businesses in Clallam County?
So probably the biggest thing that comes to mind would be the national parks, and the fire suppression, the U.S. Forest Service. National parks are the Department of Interior, Forest Service is the Department of Agriculture. And I have an upcoming event later in April with the U.S. With the farm service agencies. So, let's talk about farmers and the Department of Agriculture and, who's buying what you're selling. So, everything from farmers markets to, small processing plants, it's all relative to the Department of Agriculture. If you have oyster beds or blueberries or something that is a consumable commodity, the Department of Agriculture is kind of overlooked, I think, by a lot of small businesses. And then like the National Park Service, they hire caterers. They hire one of my clients in North Idaho was a trail builder. And he works mostly with national parks, and he does building pathways and trails and little bridges, and so there's all kinds of unique opportunities. If you're looking at health and human services, be it something like foster care or housing, those are all federal programs also. And at the state level, they have kind of the same scenario. DNR, Department of Natural Resources, they're realistically, they're the guys that saved my house when there was a firestorm that came through, a while back. And, and so they're looking for, all kinds of local resources to help them through. Fire districts, school districts, water districts, library districts. If you're a caterer and, the fire district, was putting on a community day or something, and they had a little extra money, they may bring in, a caterer to help, feed the people there. Or, even your library districts,
Mhm.
if you have a garage and you do oil changes, the Border Patrol would probably be very interested in you. I know in Pend Oreille County and Stevens County on the east side of the state, up there by the border, the car dealerships and stuff up there do a really good job with Border Patrol.
Mhm. I know right now, our car dealerships are not getting any contracts, generally speaking, especially with the state, because they can compete, except that the taxes that are charged locally are slightly higher than some other locations. And so the state goes with where those local sales tax rates are lower, because that's the defining factor. So there's discussions around that with local government entities and some car dealerships. So there were two questions in the chat. First was Debbie's and the other was Lena. Do you guys want to ask your question? Lena?
Is Debbie. So my question was for the small contractors, particularly dealing with federal government grants or federal government projects, what type of time frame does the payment look like for the completed projects? My husband has an excavating company, and we've done some government projects years ago, but it seems as though the payment from a government contract, a federal government contractor, not so concerned about the city or port, but more like these larger projects, that there's a delay in payment. So if you're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars project, the payment of that can be a delay in payment can be very challenging to a small contractor.
And that's true. It really kind of depends on which agency you're working with. I know Department of Defense, a couple of years ago, they had some technical processing problems, and basically, they got it resolved. But the federal government is really cyclical in processing things and deadlines and stuff. But historically, you should be paid, like within 30 days of the submission of your invoice. And it depends on, are you doing electronic billing, through wide area workforce or, workflow, or, it depends on which agency. Department of Defense has one process, the VA has another process. And so, if there's any, issues at all, the first call should go to your contracting officer and find out, what's going on. And if that doesn't suffice, then you call your PTAC, and then PTAC will, go to bat for you. But I had a small business owner who did a lot of work at one of the Air Force bases. And he was paid immediately upon submission of his invoice, and I mean, he was a service disabled veteran owned small business. But I don't think that prioritized his payment. I just think it's unique to each agency. And then it comes down to the actual contracting officer and the relationship that you have with them. But worst case scenario, you call PTAC and we'll figure it out for you.
Yeah. Debbie?
Yes.
Do you want to ask your question?
Sure. I think I was responded to directly, and we're going to. Oh, which question? Because I was talking about contracting to the tribes and also working to set up business transition. Because what I'm seeing in talking to local like electricians, they have a next generation that's coming up, but they're not getting trained people and they're not preparing for transition. They're just going to shut their business down when they're ready to retire. Do we have any type of programs that we can do that? So we encourage these next generation kids to bid for these contracts, you know, and get signed up to do this government work into the next decade. Because we have years ago, the average age of the contractors was 55. I don't know what the average age of contractors is now in our county.
Yeah, what kind of business was it, Debbie?
Electrical contractor is one of them that I just recently talked to. Also, I've been involved with auto dealerships. Our training program for auto mechanics is non-existent at the college. Yeah, we need some transition plans if we're going to include these businesses that we have owners that are getting ready to retire.
Yeah, that's another thing the EDC could be working on.
Sorry to add to your list, but I'll help with this one if you want.
Yeah.
What do you do, Colleen? Seriously.
So Colleen, you know, and this topic is, you know, right up there at the top for the building industry. And, you know, so maybe NPBA has a program. If not, they really should seriously consider it. We're working with the Associated Builders and Contractors statewide through, you know, this program that I'm working with Lily. And, you know, they're very malleable as far as, you know, putting together topics for education. And I think that the transition is a big deal. And I know this from my own personal experience. You know, my husband was in construction for 50 years. And you know, every day he'd come home and just kind of shake his head, you know, as far as, you know, the younger apprentices, you know, the younger journeymen, you know, where are they going? What are they doing? Yeah, it's a big issue for the trades. Doesn't matter if it's electrical, plumbing, carpentry, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, part of our problem is we don't have apprenticeship programs out here. So the classes, the in-person classes are held more so in the Seattle, Tacoma area. So people have to commute there to take those classes. Hey, Mike, you've got your hand raised?
Yeah, just one more question. I was thinking that how long will our hub zone status, is it assured that we will have it into the future, or does it sunset out at some point? I kind of heard there was a review every 5 years. Maybe I'm just totally wrong on that. But, you know, we do see a lot of hub zone work that at the marine terminals as far as ship repair goes. So I really should be not surprised that there's a lot of activity associated with our.
So I think what he said, I don't know if it was disjointed for you, but at the port, they see a lot of activity that are awarded to companies in Clallam County and in Port Angeles because they're hub zone companies. And so that's both Navy, Coast Guard, et cetera, you know, jobs like that happen in Port Angeles because they're hub zone certified. So will that certification for Clallam County continue into, you know, for how much longer? When is it expected to be looked at and renewed, et cetera?
Correct. Thank you. My internet's cranky.
Yeah. It's a good question, though. Leslie, do you know?
Actually, when it comes to HubZone, the HubZone are actually managed by the U.S. Census Bureau. And so every 10 years, right after the census is taken, there's a big flurry of HubZone realignments. And, but historically, Clallam County, has been HubZone for a long time. So as far as the federal contracts, this is such a big deal for them on, getting small businesses certified. And Patricia was talking about some of the pitfalls that she's had with that. The thing is that you need to be very well organized. 35% of your employees have to live in a HubZone, which in you guys' area is not a problem. But you have to submit proof and documentation, that they reside there. They do not accept cell phone bills, but like utility bills or magazine subscriptions or whatever. But anyway, this one is probably going to be one of the longer lived certifications, and all agencies, it's I think it's a 5% set aside for HubZone companies, 23% total small business, but it's 5% for the HubZones, and then you have other set asides. But anyway, the thing is, this is all federal. It is not state, and there's nothing in the state that even comes close to this. So if you want to be competitive, you have to go down that rabbit hole and get certified.
Okay. Got it. Well, so everybody, Leslie is available for assistance. She did put her email in the chat. So please reach out to her if you have any questions. I'm going to go. So thank you very much for joining us. And I am going to, I'm trying to stop the recording. There we go.